Shalom, shalom, and welcome. This is Extinction Protocols, preparing for transition. My brothers and sisters, whether we realize it or not, man is on a collision course for extinction. But believe it or not, the Most High has a plan. It is a plan that will lead to the extinction of man as we know it, for there will be a transition. Many of us may not want to look at it as the word extinction, but these earthen vessels, as we know it, scriptures foretell of a time when we will put off the corruptible and put on the incorruptible. Scriptures foretell those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, Yahuwah, and accept Yahushua as Mashiach, will face life immeasurably, everlasting life with him. And it foretells of those who will face everlasting judgment. Choose wisely, my brothers, as to your position. Extinction Protocols, preparing for transitions. Today is May 27, 2014. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah. This message is to my brothers and sisters who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father. I believe in this age, in this season, that we will come to identify with those who will be among the true olive trees and golden lampstands who are made one in Yahushua Messiah. I am compelled to believe the true olive trees will represent the true tribes of Yasharal. All 12 tribes will emerge, my brothers and sisters, and we will witness the 144,000 come to be. And we will witness a multitude from every nation, kindred, and tongue who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father. Together we will be grafted as one in Yahushua Messiah. With that said, this segment of Extinction Protocol is entitled Beyond the Messenger and Method. Allow me to begin as I do with each of these segments within this series, and that is to read the definition of protocol. It is a system of rules that explain the correct conduct and procedures to be followed in formal situations. This series will prove to reflect necessary protocols as they relate to man's extinction, or could be worded as it relates to our transition that is soon to come. My brothers and sisters, how many of us will admit to being conditioned to accept a person's message based on their looks? How many of us have refused to listen to someone because the manner or the method that they use to deliver the message we didn't like? Yes, many of us have been guilty of such behavior. Some knowingly and intentionally, others subconsciously, and of course there are those who are just unaware that they behave like this at all. Yes, we have many biases. No matter where we are on this planet, we have had biases or prejudice based on one culture or next, based on certain behaviors or next. But what's sad, my brothers and sisters, we spend more time talking about the condition of a person, the way they look, the way they smell, the way they delivered the message, the way they spoke to us, versus praying to discern the content of the message. Let us take a look at some things descriptive of individuals used by the Most High Father Yahuwah. And while we review them, ask ourselves, what would have been our response or skepticism regarding those who were used by the Most High Father during days of old? Let's face it, we have many perceptions and expectations, and sometimes we reject those who are obedient to the Most High because we don't like the way things were brought to us. It's time to realize we must move beyond the me factor, thinking that the Most High cannot use anyone without passing our test of acceptance. My brothers and sisters, how many of us, I said, you could have said that differently. You could have worded that differently. All too often, we are unaware that the flesh war against the spirit. That is, my flesh war against the spirit, your flesh war against the spirit, and then my flesh and your flesh is going to war against the spirit. So as a result of that, sometimes messages may come from a messenger, and we may see part of my flesh trying to mess it up, or part of your flesh trying to mess it up. So I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, it would be important for us to, instead of spending time saying, I don't like the way you said it, you aren't humble, that wasn't in love, instead of throwing attacks at someone and grabbing scriptures to attack someone, let us seek the spirit of Yahushua and examine, is there any truth in these words? And if so, let us embrace the truth. If it's not, let us reject it and press forward instead of consuming so much time discussing whether the person was humble in love or full of pride or whatever the case may be. You see, my brothers and sisters, all too often, a person being obedient and strong in their obedience is often falsely accused as being pride or without love or not being humble. Humility is not about being passive. Humility is about yielding to righteousness and having the fortitude and strength to admit when reproof faces you and to admit when righteousness is present, even if it makes you look bad or even if it places us into subjection. With that said, let me read a few things, my brothers and sisters. Noah, Genesis 7:6, say, now Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. Would we have thought that Noah was too old to be used by the Most High Father if we were there during his time? Exodus 4:10 reads, and Moshe or Masha said to Yahuwah, O Yahuwah, I'm not a man of words, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, for I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. Okay, my brothers and sisters, let's be honest with one another. If we were to look back during the days of Moshe or Masha or Moses, would we have not been reluctant to follow him because he was not a man with words and slow of speech and tongue? Is it possible that Moses, Masha, Moshe, whatever you embrace, is it possible that Moses may have even stuttered in his speech? Whatever the case may be, you really know to some degree how you would have probably responded if you saw someone slow to speak being used by the Most High Father to lead all of Yasharal. 1 Samuel 17:38-40 reads, and Shaul dressed David with garments and put a bronze helmet on his head and put a coat of armor on him. And David girded his sword over his garments and began to go, but he had not tried them. Then David said to Shaul, I'm not able to go with these, for I have not tried them. So David took them off, and he took his staff in his hand, and he chose for him 5 smooth stones from the wadi or river, and put them in the shepherd's bag in a pouch which he had, and his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. If you read the rest of the story, my brothers and sisters, many of you may already know, but if not, this is 1 Samuel 17th chapter, you will come to know that David destroyed Goliath, the Philistine. But here's what I want to ask you. How would you have described or responded when it comes to believing that David, a small young man, was able to fight off a giant? You see, my brothers and sisters, we get hung up on, well, he's too short, he's too young, he's too old, he's senile, he can't speak fluent. We get hung up on the methods and or the individual, and we fail to realize what the Almighty Father is conveying to us, what the Spirit of Yahushua is saying to us. My brothers and sisters, end times are here, and while the majority are asleep regarding taking heed to living instructions from the Spirit of Yahushua, others are wrestling with discovering who to follow or who is worthy of their attention. I have experienced firsthand and witnessed people dismiss righteous words because they did not like the way the person delivered the message. I must admit, there are times when messages are not from the Most High Father, but there are also times righteous words go forth, but because the messenger and the method that was used did not please one's ears or eyes, then they were dismissed. I have even witnessed people bear false witness against another, against those who are obedient to the Spirit of Yahushua, because they could not look beyond the messenger and method of which the words were delivered. We say we are aware that the flesh war against the Spirit, but fail to realize the flesh of the messenger and the flesh of the listener are teaming up to thwart or repel or divide righteous messages. In other words, my brothers and sisters, we have to become, well, let me retract that. It would be wise to become used to discerning, seeking to discern and understand Because what has happened is we have become so used to patronizing spirits that we confuse humbleness as being passive. Again, humility is not about passivity, my brothers and sisters. Sooner or later, we will come to realize that. There are so many people who spend more time arguing, debating, or talking about how a message was delivered or the person who delivered the message versus examining the message itself. There are even those who criticize me, whether directly or indirectly, and others because we have not plastered our picture or image on recordings that we present on YouTube and other media sites. For some reason, they are more concerned with what we look like versus praying to discern the words we speak. I am persuaded either a person hears from the Spirit of Yahushua or ignores him, or either they are just plain void of hearing because they are trusting in their own skill sets, their own academic prowess, their own mind. My brothers and sisters, it is no secret by now that I believe chaos, civil unrest, forced migrations, and more are over the horizon. It is no secret of my position regarding the final exodus that many have come to anticipate in the near future. With this said, a sense of urgency will erupt as end times become fierce, and we will discover the need to manage our time more wisely. Who do you think will benefit the most in the coming days? People who are able to discern righteous messages no matter how the vessel looked, no matter what emotions are displayed, or those who wait for their expectations to be satisfied and met before listening to righteous instructions and orders from the Spirit of Yahushua? Let me share just an excerpt from a passage of scripture regarding a donkey. Then Yahuwah opened the mouth of a donkey, and this is Numbers 22nd chapter, verses 28 to 33. Numbers 22nd chapter, or chapter 22, verses 28 to 33. Then Yahuwah opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have beaten me these 3 times? And Balaam said to the donkey, because you have mocked me, I wish there were a sword in my hand, for I would have killed you by now. And the donkey said to Balaam," it didn't say grunted or nodded, it said the donkey said to Balaam, "I am not your donkey on which you have ridden ever, am I not your donkey on which you have ridden ever since I became yours this day? Was I ever known to do so to you?" And he said, "No." Then Yahuwah opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the messenger of Yahuwah standing in the way of his drawn sword in his hand, and he bowed his head and fell on his face. And the messenger of Yahuwah said to him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? See, I have come out to stand against you, because your way is reckless before me. And the donkey saw me and turned aside from me these 3 times. If she had not turned aside from me, I certainly would have killed you by now and let her live." My brothers and sisters, take a moment. If you've ever been around a farm where there's livestock, a donkey is not a sweet-smelling animal. Yeah, if he's been bathed or so, yeah, but it's still an animal. The breath of a donkey, the odor from a donkey would be unbearable to some who have been used to being in the city. My point is that the Most High opened the mouth of a donkey. So if a donkey opened his mouth right now, will we be more so, "Get that smelly donkey away from me, get that ugly donkey," or be scared of the donkey, "Get the donkey away"? Or will we really take notice to what the donkey is saying? Yes, some will be amazed to see the donkey speaking, but how many will pay attention to the message coming from the mouth of a donkey? In Balaam's case, I'm quite sure it wasn't about odor or smell. In Balaam's case, he did not pay attention to the signs and indications that the donkey was trying to save his life. So there were signs of the times as it related to his life. And it came even more clear when the Most High opened the mouth of the donkey, and it came even more clear when the messenger spoke. Let us also consider Luke 19:40, which reads, "But he answered and said to him, I say to you that if these shall be silent, the stones would cry out." Can you imagine walking past some rocks, some stones, and they start crying out to you, speaking out to you? Would you be more distracted in amazement? Would you be more consumed by, wow, these rocks are talking, and how they said it? Or would you be able to discern and pay close attention to what's being said? I ask you, my brothers and sisters, are you ready to respond to a donkey if it spoke to you? Would you receive rocks if they cried out to you? Are we who have spirit more important than donkeys and stones? Are we not vessels of the living Savior? Do not scriptures inform us that the Most High dwell within us? Who is able to look past a donkey, its breath and odor, and hear its words if one spoke out? Who is able to move beyond the shock and amazement of a stone or stones crying out and hear the message in their words? Should we not be able to discern beyond the appearance and personal skills of a person? Should we not be able to discern and understand, my brothers and sisters, whether the person has bad breath, old or young, is old or young? Should we not be able to discern whether communications are evil or righteous? My brothers and sisters, I strongly encourage you to begin to walk with a heart and mind to discern what the Spirit of Yahushua is saying. There will be times, my brothers and sisters, when we must look beyond the appearance, personal hygiene, the looks, the size or the age of a person, and pray to discern what is being said to us. There will even be times where we will find a messenger or a leader of the Most High cut one off before hearing the whole matter spoken. In other words, it's not a quid pro quo scenario. There's nothing in Scripture that says, well, if I listen to you speak for a half hour, you're supposed to let me speak for a half hour or 10 minutes or whatever time span. Our service to the Most High come as a result of orders and obedience. My brothers and sisters, it is not about quid pro quo. Quid pro quo is something that man has conditioned us to believe represent, quote unquote, a sense of respect. But we will discover how quick and powerful the word of the Most High is among us. And we will move beyond quid pro quo. We will come to realize that it's not about I scratch your back, you scratch mine, or you need to respect me. For the Spirit of the Almighty Father have no respect of persons. It is His will, it is His commands, it is His orders that we will see unfold. Regardless of our expectations of the messenger or the method in which words come, it will not stop the orders and commands from continually flowing from the Almighty Father. It will be wise to realize we are on a schedule created by the Most High Father. Failure to discern the commands and orders presented by His set-apart Spirit sent in Yahushua's name, whether it's directly or through us one towards another or through His sent messengers. Failure to respond will come with consequences of which we do not have control. In other words, when we are disobedient, we do not have the convenience to choose what methods the Almighty Father will use to bring us into discipline. The time to spend more energy seeking to discern one another's words versus whether or not the person looks good, smell good, sound good, or whether they're dirty, smell bad, or cannot speak fluently will come to an end. We will come to hunger for righteous words. We were never informed that the criteria for being used require soap and water, deodorant, antiperspirant, perfume, colognes, pleasant smelling breath, or any other hygienic criteria. We were never told we must see a person's face. The messenger must be good looking or have good equipment in delivering a message, if it is being done through technological means as a criteria for listening. End times will get fierce, my brothers and sisters, more than one can imagine, and we will find ourselves soon adjusting to a sense of urgency with intense hunger to discover righteous words. We will come to realize the need to move beyond the messenger and method and move towards listening to what the message is conveying to us with attentiveness. Pay close attention to the instruction. Yes, we will come to that point, my brothers and sisters. Consider this. A person was just forced out of their house abruptly in order to speak a message from the Spirit of Yahushua. Do you think that person will be passive in their delivery? What about a person running from sudden destruction trying to get to a safe place? Do you think that person will be passive and weak in their communications to you while they're trying to get to a safe place? Also consider this. The many challenges that end-time prophecies will bring. Do you think it will not affect how we deliver messages? The time is now to begin praying and seeking to grow in discernment so that when we receive words that we're able to look beyond the messenger and the method and examine and discern and understand what the words are saying to our spirit, one towards another, or to the assemblies. It would be wise to come away from consuming time arguing and trying to convince someone they could have told you in a better way or delivered their message differently. It is counterproductive to spend time debating the condition of the messenger or the method in which the message came. Soon and very soon we will learn how to come away from the wicked distractions that cause us to not focus on what is true. My brothers and sisters, though many of us face uncertainty regarding end-time prophecy fulfillment, preparations and details are necessary and will prove to be something that will come to be regarding our final exodus, regarding what is required from us. Yes, my brothers and sisters, preparations and details are indeed in motion. I pray each of us will come to be swift in our response to the Spirit of Yahushua and move beyond the messenger and the method and listen with a discerning mind to the message. I pray that each of us are able to endure until the very end, of which is not too far away, my brothers and sisters. Until next time, let us be mindful of the obstacles, the distractions, the delusions, the attacks from our flesh. Let us be mindful of the need to grow in discernment and be used by the Spirit of the Most High and come to know what it is to watch His Word function quicker than any two-edged sword. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, continue to stay tuned as Extinction Protocols continues. Shalom, shalom, shalom.